All right. Well, Anthony and I have been talking for the last hour, and Anthony from Anthony's Lawn Care in Bloomington, Indiana, home of John Cougar Mellencamp. Sorry, just John Mellencamp.
That's right. Go Hoosiers.
And yeah, go Hoosiers. And so, yeah, this is the Good Soil Strategies podcast. Last week we talked about content and your Google business profile, and that getting visible and getting found, having an optimized website, those trust signals are so important. But I want to talk about something that is really that's only half the battle. What happens when someone actually reaches out to you? The phone rings. I'd like to jump into that process with you, Anthony, and I think you can help our future listeners here and or maybe our one or two current listeners. But what happens when you get a call come through? So the quote, the follow-up, the scheduling. I will tell you what I hear from my clients, but I'd love to hear it from you. And so we'll just get started there. I'll give you the heads up. So phone call rings, ring, ring. Hi, this is Anthony's Lawn Care and Landscaping. And how quickly do you answer it? Also, I know I'm rambling here a bit, but if you leave a message, how quickly do you get back to them? You go.
Yeah, so listen, I was reading a lot of Conrad Levinson, the Guerrilla Marketing series. You remember that?
Yeah.
And so when I first started, it was 2011, and it was the one answering every call and responding to every email and text message. And I always believed that speed, like we live in a world of Amazon Prime where you order something. If you're in the right city, you get it that afternoon. If not, you'll still get it in 2 days or less. And so I realized that when I was first starting. So I would want to answer at least after the second ring. And if for some reason I didn't answer the phone because I was on the other line or whatever it might be, I would call back right away. So if someone leaves a voicemail, I'm calling back 2 minutes later. Some sales professionals think, you don't want to be too forthcoming, whatever. No, I just wanted to get it done. And that really helped us build our client list. I mean, we have a client list of, like 8,000 people at this point and of clients. And early on, if I went and did an estimate very quickly, like that afternoon, that helped us build our book of business. So I would answer. I was always excited and professional, and I would schedule their appointment on the spot. So someone calls, okay, what time works for you for a free estimate? I'll come take a look. I can come take a look later this afternoon or first thing tomorrow morning, whatever works for you, or later in the week. And we'd figure out a time. I'd put it on my calendar, and then I'd go see them. And then when I stopped answering the phone, I'd make sure that we're still following that same process, because that right there, what you're saying, is so important. And there are so many companies out there that invest thousands of dollars in marketing, and then their voicemail box is full and they don't answer the phone and they don't return phone calls. And then the marketing company gets the blame, or the marketing platform Google doesn't work. The platform gets the blame. So if they do their own marketing, they're saying, well, the marketing doesn't work, but no, you don't work. You're not answering the phone.
So thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. We have clients who are really great clients, but sometimes they don't answer the phone, and how important that is to answer the phone when it comes through. Now, we all get spammed a ton. It's really hard. You're like, is this a real call? Is it not a real call? I'm in the middle of hammering something, or I'm digging something up, or whatever it is that I'm doing. It's hard to stop and do that. What about autoresponders, missed call texts? Do you do that at this point?
We do now. In the early years, we didn't. And those really save a lot of accounts. Like even on Facebook or Instagram or any social media channel, if someone sends us a message, we have ManyChat hooked up, and we have it programmed with all of our information, so it can actually answer questions and things like that. And then also says, to schedule a free estimate, call this number or fill out this form. That way we're not losing any leads because we didn't respond to a Facebook message for 6 days.
Got it. Yeah, that's great. So that takes time to build out. But as you say that, I'm thinking that's a missed opportunity in our own business at this point, where we're not helping our clients do that enough, which is, how do they get those responses in? How do they, what is their game plan when they do call somebody back? And what is their sales process, which is getting into a whole other realm. And that's something I think we should talk about more. But really, that first step is, you got the call. Did you answer it? If you didn't answer it, did you get back to them in minutes flat? Or did you get an autoresponder out there? So it's really, really important to get back. The next thing is, do you track your leads that come through?
Yes.
All
Yeah,
right.
every single person that calls, how did you hear about us? Or text or emails. The email response that we get from the online form, it also asks them how they heard of us. So a lot of times we'll see that.
Yeah.
And when we didn't track in the earlier days, and then we learned that lesson because if we're advertising on 8 different platforms, I mean, we need to know
Right.
which one's really working the best. I still like to blend the ones that don't always necessarily work as well, but we don't want to over invest in the wrong platforms. We want to invest in the ones that are providing the most leads too.
Right. Right. Well, good. So if you're tracking, you're probably doing phone tracking on those, or to understand where they're coming from. So phone tracking, for those who don't know, it's just basically swapping out numbers with a different number that rings to your main number so that you can understand where your lead came from. So if it's Google Ads,
Yes.
if it's Facebook, if it's your website, that's a really important thing to do. But you have a CRM. What CRM do you use?
We use Jobber, and then for the call tracking that you just mentioned, we use CallRail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, sometimes people are priced out of Jobber. I think there's some free options, but there are other tools out there certainly that can be used. And you've got HubSpot, you've got Go High Level, you've got
FreshBooks was one that we used in the early days.
sure, just
Yeah.
something that works to get back to people, so you can have some automation. Another thing is too, AI coming around. If you don't know what to respond to your customer, they've sent an email in, throw it into a chat GPT. Just say, hey, I need an email response. Even Gmail's got Gemini where you can formulate a response, and that's a great way to get back to people just with something that's coherent. You can look at it, edit it. Sometimes you can spend way too much time trying to wordsmith a particular response.
Which has actually kind of been bad for us, by the way, because that was a strong suit. My office manager and I can really write a nicely written email. And that was a huge competitive advantage for us
Oh,
because a lot of
okay.
our competitors, we would see some of the emails they would send our clients, and there's grammatical mistakes everywhere.
Sure.
They weren't writing in complete sentences. And then they'd get this nice professional email from us. And in the early days until 2023, that was a competitive advantage for us. But now, yeah, if you're not great at writing, you use ChatGPT. Now that makes, the companies that did have that as an advantage, that kind of evens the playing field a little bit,
Yeah, that I can see that. You can see that for sure.
or
I mean,
levels
it
the
certainly
playing
makes
field, whatever this.
yeah, it
Yeah.
makes you certainly more productive. But those M dashes that come in there. If anybody doesn't know what an
And
M dash is, it's those double wide dashes. And ChatGPT loves to use that
it's the
punctuation
dead giveaway that you're using ChatGPT.
instead of a comma or a little icon or a logo. So you got to get those removed. You can even
Yeah.
tell. Please rewrite it without the M dashes. Okay, so we were talking about that coming in there. Now we're going to keep this relatively short today, but you get the opportunity. So you said you provide that free estimate. And what if a
Yep.
free estimate's like 45 minutes away and you're not, you're like, okay, I want the lead. It's a good, I'm glad they came to me directly, but it's all the way across the other side of our service area. What do you do? Do you
We
charge a service
didn't.
charge or?
No, we just wouldn't. In the early days, we would just say we're sorry we don't service that area, and we didn't even market to that area. Today, obviously, we have 40 plus employees, and we're growing, so we service a larger portion of Indiana at this point. So we would still go 45 minutes away. But in the earlier days, it's just not a good idea if you're just starting out in the landscape industry. It's better to have your routes really, really condensed. Like you don't want to drive 45 minutes away just to mow one lawn. So we started doing tree and landscape work in further away at first because there's more of a profit margin on that. So we could afford to go do a landscape job, 30, 40 minutes away, but we wouldn't. And then we would start building up our lawn mowing list in other places. That way we could have clusters of lawns that we mow in each city. That way we're not going to a city to mow one lawn. We're going there to mow 20 lawns.
Sure.
And it takes time.
Well, when you got into your hardscaping, maybe that changes it a little bit where
Yeah.
you're doing a bigger project. And, I want to spend another episode just totally focused on estimating. Maybe not estimating as much as just a quote, like what works for you, what
Mhm.
really changes the perception of your company when you send out that quote. But at this point, I want to talk about, we'll just wrap this up quickly for the, two things. I want to talk about follow-up. So you got a call. How often do you follow up? And where are the pitfalls? Because I feel like somebody calls once, they're like, they didn't answer, I'm done. What's your follow-up approach?
Yeah, so if we call back and they don't answer, we call back several times that day and we send a text message as well. So the nice thing about the text message in that scenario, a missed call is a missed call. If their voicemail box is full, the potential, prospect or client, they might see it as a missed call. They don't have a voicemail, and then that's it. But when we send a text message, it's there. And we've noticed that clients and prospects respond to text messages so much better. So we actually send a text if they don't answer.
Got it.
So if we have a missed call, we call them back, they don't answer. We'll leave a voicemail if their voicemail box isn't full. Then we also send a text message.
Yeah. Do you have opt-out language? Yeah, that's great. Do you have opt-out language in your text messaging? I'm assuming that you do.
We do through CallRail, but if it's just from our company line, there has to be, the client can say, hey, please don't text me, and then that's that. Mm-hmm. But that's never happened to someone. That's never happened because when someone's calling, usually it's about something. So
right.
Yeah. So and another thing, just to go back to what we were talking about before, it's how you answer the phone. Like, it's how you show up. It's your posture when you show up to do the free estimate. It's your tone of voice. It's, do you want to be there? Do you want to actually be on the phone? If you're like, yeah, hello, it's Anthony's Lawn Care, and you sound like you don't want to do it, that's going to affect your marketing. So it might, a company that's just not great on the phone and they don't want to do it at all, it might cost them $600 per client acquisition. And it might and then the company who's actually wants to answer the phone and they're grateful for the opportunities they're getting, it might be $200 for client acquisition, because how you show up on those calls and during the in-person meetings really matter so much. So I think a lot of people might overlook that. Fortunately, we didn't, because I brought up Conrad Levinson earlier, and in one of the books I was reading by him, he said that everything you do is marketing. He's like, it's not just the ad that you write. The way you dress, the way you show up, the way you shake their hand. Do you look them in the eye or not? Does your tone of voice say you want to be there or not? All of those things are still marketing. So he basically said everything's marketing, from the way you walk to the way you talk, the way that you shake their hand, your tone of voice, the way you answer the phone. So that really stuck with me since day one, since I first started, because I had his collections of books early on. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah, as I say that, as I'm repping my friend's company here, Shop Monkey, by the way. Fantastic.
Hey, I love that.
For software for auto shops.
That's cool. I was going to comment on that earlier. I love that shirt.
But I need to have my own on here. I need to have my search strategy marketing, or I got to put it out there. We've launched a new directory called hardscapingdirectory.com. And the reason we've done that is because we want a place where people can find high quality hardscaping companies. There will be some other services lumped in that as well. Sometimes you have lawn care as well as hardscaping. And so we'll have that directory. If anybody's listening here, there's a service provider wants to be listed, great. We can have you in there. It's free to join it. But anyway, I should have my hardscaping HQ t-shirt as well. So I'm going to put that in there.
And search strategy marketing. Yeah. If you guys need any help with your marketing and your lawn, landscape, or tree service, check out Search Strategy Marketing.
Thank you very much. So we're marketing all day long. Here we are.
Yep. Yeah, you guys do excellent work.
Thank you. And we're going to be on display. And actually, Anthony, you're going to join us in there. We're going to be at Futurescape USA in December in LA. It's their first one. It's a European trade show that they've been doing for years in England for landscaping experts and companies, and just the industry at whole at large. We'll put that in there as well. Anyway, the last thing about this, so this is a little pitch there. We talked about tracking a bit, tracking the sale, keeping numbers. I think that's just really important. People are just, there's always that opportunity to have more or less, but are you keeping your numbers? Are you seeing how many you have today versus how many you had, the week before or monthly?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. And we obsess over all that. Yeah, right. But the crazy thing about it is it can always be improved.
Right.
You might feel like you're going deep on your numbers, but there's always another level. there's always a better way or a little way to improve it. Like we know exactly the dollar amount of work that our crews need to be completing each day. Like we know if a crew hit their numbers or not. Some companies, they'll just send the crew to go do the job and that's that. But we're doing like the profit analytics every single day because we're checking the temperature every day and every week. And I'm still working on building out the SOP for that because I've trained our other managers on how to do it, and they've also sent work orders. And but they might there's a sequence, there's a certain order of doing things, and if you have a $50,000 hardscape project, you want to make sure that you're working in the $500 jobs and the $1,500 jobs in at the same time. So it's like a puzzle. You want to be doing a certain number of those for your cash flow while you're also doing the bigger job. That way you just keep things rolling. And I think some companies make that mistake of just doing these huge jobs and then, oh no, little did they know that company's net 90 and they're not getting paid for 90 days on that. And they just dedicated all their resources to just that one job for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it was. And then they're in trouble with their cash on hand. So, yeah.
I think about that for my own company, and I've had this vision of you need the pyramid of some of the smaller clients, a good number of smaller clients who just you can rely on that. And if you lose one, the whole thing's not going to collapse. And if you've got those sort of the middle tier, and what you want to do is to hopefully move those people from the smaller or from the lower tier, from the foundation up to the next level. So maybe you find somebody, you've been doing lawn care for them, that's all they want for years, but then you can pop them up into the next level with a new, whether they want a patio, paver patio, or they want an outdoor kitchen. That's your chance to jump up, but you still maintain that foundation with that.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. Like I read this book. I might even have a copy of it. It's an old, well, here's one, Start a Lawn Business. I read a book just like that when I was first starting, and it said something that really connected with me for the long term. It said a lot of people are chasing commercial accounts, and then they get these 4 big commercial accounts and they all pay 50 grand a year, right? Well, what happens when 2 of them don't renew the next year? You're like kind of screwed. So he said his approach to that was, instead of having 4 commercial, have 1 commercial and then have the other 150,000, right? So have the other 150,000 through 100 residential clients or something along those lines, because it's much less likely for, dozens of residential clients to drop you than it is for 1 client to drop you.
Right.
So do a blend, a healthy blend.
Yes. And
yeah.
One big egg is great amongst many. In fact, we got a 24 pack of eggs from Costco, and there was a mutant egg in there. It was just so funny because it just didn't make any sense. It was so big. We were joking, is it a crocodile? Is it, with our kids, is that a crocodile egg? What do we have here? But it seems like you just, you don't want to have all those just one big egg because they crack and then you got problems. So definitely with that, hard to maintain all of those, but if you get a certain level of those, or a certain amount of those, you can continue to add people who can help service those, and you're thinking about the bigger ones that you're going to land. Oh, right. Okay, I think we've covered it. It's a good 25 minutes. You got to go eat dinner. It's late there.
I already ate dinner. I'm all set.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good to go.
Right on. Well, I'm glad we got a chance to talk for 20 minutes. The short one's great. We'll do this again in a couple weeks, and we have other work to do, Anthony, so thank you. And
thank you so much, Matt.
Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Love working with you. Thank you for everything you do.
Yeah, thank you. You too, and God bless you.
God bless. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.